PJ. We are live with another lit live stream as always, man. Shout out to my everyday people who rock with me every day. As people start to come into the live, I'm gonna get this all set up. I want to shout out to all the everyday people who tuned into the live, everybody who watched the videos. Shout out to the mods, because the mods always in here keeping it lit and keeping y'all in check. Please, no cussing in the chat. We don't need no cussing in the chat. We're trying to keep this thing healthy and whole. Today, today we got a great story time for y'all. And what's up? Shout out to everybody pulling up. I'm gonna tell y'all what, we got a good story time. True story. It's about to go down. Shout out to everybody that's on Twitch. Shout out to everybody who's watching me on Facebook. Okay. Shout out to Just Tell Me When she's on Twitch, man. Shout out to them. Shout out to everybody on Facebook that's watching live. And shout out to everybody who watches this later. You know what I'm saying? Everybody who catch the replay. We got a lit live video for y'all tonight, man. I told y'all what we was going to do. We was going to start doing call-ins, story times. Tell us why you mad. I know people be having real stories that they want to tell and they want to get off their chest. So today, we got a story from a young lady named Bree. Now, Bree has a dating life. And this dating life was turned upside down. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm about to bring Bree on. And then we're going to get into this story time. So welcome Bree to the channel. Hello, Bree. How you doing?
Hey PJ, hey PJ's Live. How's everybody?
Oh, well, I am good. How you doing today?
I'm chilling. I'm chilling. I had a chill Friday.
You had a boss. Me too. So I had a good Friday. I hope everyone else is having a good Friday. So tell us a little bit of insight on this story. What are we about to find out? What's the story? What's the you know how people say part one of me dating a narcissist. You know, what's your part one?
Well, I guess I don't know if I would classify him as a narcissist, but maybe as we go on, y'all can help me decide that. But he definitely was a liar, and it was just like this was a person I was with for 3 years, and at the time I think I might have been 25 when I met him, and at the end I was 27, and I ended up finding out that he was actually 15 years older than me. I started it thinking he was only 5 years older than me, but I figured it out later on. He was actually 15. So,
Was it the
and
ED
I
that
did
gave
break
it
up with
away?
him. Was it what?
The ED that gave it away?
No. Actually, we'll get into that the sexual part too. That didn't get it. That didn't give it away, but it was more
Okay.
so people in the hood gave it away. A lot of stuff I had to like do a little. Honestly, at the end, it was like God was like punching me in the face with it. Y'all will get to see what I'm saying.
Okay. Okay. So tell us your story. Tell us how it goes. I'm
So
listening.
basically it starts I was trying to remember the year when you had me on hold before, but I think this might have been like 2017 when I met him. I went to school. I'm from New York actually, but and I was living in New York at the time, but I had just moved back cuz I went to college in Colorado and I got kicked out. That's a different story for a different day. And I got kicked out, and so my mother had made me move back to New York, and so I moved back to New York 2015, I think. And so I was a couple months, I was like trying to find a job, had a job at Jaguar dealership, and I started working in Long Island. And if anybody's familiar with New York, like I live in the boroughs, but I was working in Long Island. And so I started hanging out with the girl from the job due to Tree. We both like one time I think it was after work, and I started rolling up, and we both figured out we both like smoking Tree, and that's how we started hanging out. And so from hanging out with her, we started going into the hood because we ain't gonna be by the job. We started going by her house, and I started getting Tree from the guy she gets Tree from. Enter in I guess we could call him George. That's what we'll call him, George. Enter George. And so George was the guy that they both lived in the same building. And George was the one that she be buying wheat that she bought tree from. I don't know how long they knew each other, but I know it was some time. Like I think her and her mother lived in that building for years. He lived there with his sister. Like people knew them in the building. And so eventually George started to want to like, went from us just buying tree from him to like then he wanted to sit and chill with us, sit in the back. And I guess I should preface this by saying like at this time, like when I met him, was I single? No, I was single, but like I just got out of a relationship like that, a long term relationship that I was in with my ex from Colorado. And that's like was kind of traumatic, had crazy stuff going on. So like, when you just broke up with somebody and you're still in love with them, but like you don't want to be with them, but you're getting over that. So that was what I was going through. So I wasn't looking at anybody. I wasn't like, trying to date anybody, but I think he might have been, I guess, probably looking at me while we buying tree from him. And so I do remember, like, in the beginning, like, I think, and the reason why I don't really know, like, I think I never really asked him how old he was. Like, this was, I was like 22, 23. Like, you don't usually ask people that. You just kind of like, either they tell you or you already know. So it was like, I think I kind of assumed he was around my friend's age. And so I think I just always had in my mind he was 5 years older than me. And so that's just how it was. So we started talking, like, later down the line, a couple months of him just being around us and wanting to chill, we started talking. And originally, I wasn't like super attracted to him. This wasn't somebody that I wanted to, but it was like, he would just do little things. Like he wanted to chill. I know one time he hit me up and was like, "Oh, you want to come out here and chill?" And I was like, "Well, I ain't got no gas to come out there." And I had money. I could have put it in there, but I wasn't like pressed to go out there. And he was like, "Well, I'll put gas in your car if you can make it out here." And I'm like, "I guess, all right, whatever." So that's kind of how it started. Like, he ended up being kind of cool. And, when you start chilling around somebody a lot and then, you end up liking them. So that's kind of what that was.
Mm-hmm.
So the first instance about his age that came up was, I'll say it's like the first month or two of us talking. And the girl, and I'll just say her abbreviation of her name. It don't really matter. But her name was like Ty. And the girl, it was weird because she kind of like was the one that like told me like, oh yeah, you should talk to him. He got money, which you'll find out later on. I don't know why she told me that, but she was like, and he was a street pharmacist, so he's one of those type of people. Like she's like, you should date him. Like he got money, you should talk to him. And I'm like, really? And she's like, yeah. So that's part of the reason why. But a couple weeks later, she starts saying, I don't really like him. Out of nowhere. I don't know where it came from, but she's like, I don't really like him. Like he's mad rude, he's mad disrespectful, and I'll say this, he is Jamaican, so he's like, and he don't have an accent or anything, but he's just very rough when he speaks. He's not, if he's asked you to take him to the store, he's like, take me up there. He's not like, oh, can you please, blah, blah. He's not doing all that. He's going to be like, take me up there, especially if he knows you, he's going to be like, take me up there. Like, he's just very direct. But my thing is, this is somebody you've been around. You knew him longer than me, so how all of a sudden now you don't like him? So she didn't want to hang out with him anymore. She didn't want him. I was like, all right, well, that's fine. Like, me and you could still hang out. But she didn't want, like, after that, like, me and this girl was hanging out, chilling, smoking tree after work for, like, this was, like, for 7 months of me working at that job. And after that point, like, we stopped. She didn't want to, she would go home, she would do her own thing. So it was like, that was that. So about 2 weeks later, a mutual friend at our job, who she don't know George, but she knows of him, like, just from speaking, but she don't live in that area with them. Like, she don't know George, but she comes up to me and says, oh, Ty basically was saying that she was walking up and down the block. They have their block. I'm not gonna say the name, but like let's just say Park Avenue. She was walking up and down Park Avenue, talking to niggas and asking them how old is George. And in my mind, and she was like, how basically they was like, oh George, he's like 40-something years old. He's 40-something years old. And again, at the time, I was 24, 25. And so she was like, yeah, they're saying that he's 40-something years old. So off rip, I'm sorry. I was like, to me, that story didn't make sense. And because her story didn't make sense, I didn't want to listen. I didn't want to, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. A, this is a girl who doesn't go outside. She's not a girl who chills in front of the building. She's not outside. Two, B, why would you be walking up and down outside asking people about somebody's age that you already know? Like, to me, that didn't make any sense. So I kind of just was like, all right, whatever. Now, I did ask him about it, But what he said was, and he goes by initials. He doesn't. That's not actually his name. He goes by initials in his little hood in his area. He goes by initials. What he said to me is, "Oh, there's mad people that got to go by the same initials as me. Like that's not, that's not me. They're not talking about me. That's somebody else." And I kind of just took it as that, and also because her story didn't make sense. So if something don't make sense to me, I'm not gonna say, "Oh yeah." And then at the same time, you sent somebody else to tell me this. I never had a beef with this girl, so you could have easily just came and told me this if this really happened. And see, it's like I don't know. All of that just didn't make sense to me. So I didn't doubt all of that. After that point, I didn't believe anything, and I really didn't think anything of it. So we keep dating, and we go on, and I'll say nothing really came up until the last year of our relationship. And all throughout this time, our relationship, like I wasn't ever really like this is one of those situations where I had to like grow to be attracted to him. Like I wasn't like fully attracted like how you normally are, where usually in the beginning with somebody, you guys are usually probably like having sex like rabbits and doing all that. Like I wasn't like that with him. Like I had to grow to like him and stuff. And there was probably a period in there where I really did like him, but after a while, like the original things that I didn't like, I just came back, to fruition. I wasn't fully attracted to him. The whole time that we were together, he never like got a job. And I get, you be in the streets, that's kind of what you do. But to me, if like certain things aren't making money, I've seen people that even if they're in the streets, if things aren't making money, they'll go get a regular job. He wasn't that type of person. And so the only thing, he would drive my car, and that was on me. Like it was just because he literally lived 5 minutes from where my job was. Like where my job was like the white people area, but then literally if you drive 10 minutes down, it's the hood, and that's where he lived. So at night we kind of ended up getting into a routine where he would come back, sleep at my mother's house with me. He didn't have no clothes there. He wasn't living there, but he would just sleep there, and then in the morning he would drop me off at work, and then he would go home and do whatever he's doing for the day in the hood. And I didn't have a problem with that because at the time it was like my car's just sitting here, like it don't matter, like it's whatever. So, but after a while, that's just all he did. Like there's never been anybody else that I was with where like they didn't have no elevation within the three. You're being with somebody for years. It wasn't months. It was like years. He didn't no elevation. Didn't want to do nothing else. Like was just doing the same thing. He didn't have a car. He was living with one of his sisters. But at the time, I was like, it would annoy me, but it didn't annoy me enough to not be with him because I thought he was only 5 years older than me. So if you're thinking, I'm thinking I'm what, 24, now I'm 25, I'm 26. I went and got my associate's degree. I started doing things for myself. And also I should say this wasn't a person that I was like planning my future with. Like, yeah, we were together and I was gonna see where it went, but I wasn't like, oh, we about to get married, like we planning a life together. I wasn't doing that. So anything I needed to do for myself, like I still did. I went back to school. I got my associate's degree. I was doing that when I needed to get some money up. I started doing DoorDash without him. Like, I did whatever. And so, it was just little things that by that last year, like even before all these situations that I'm about to start telling y'all, like I already was like wanting to break up with him, which is terrible. And not this day and age, I wouldn't do that. If I don't want to be with somebody, I'm gonna just not be with you. But at that time, I was just like, I'm gonna give you a chance, whatever. And after a while, I realized that wasn't working. So literally for like probably we was together for 3 years. For the last year, like I was trying to break up with him, and I didn't know how to because I never had been in a relationship where I had to break up with somebody. Like my relationships be toxic, like shit be happening, like where I have to break up with them. It has to end, or not. I have to break up. Like we have to break up. Like it's not like we, something happens to where like we have like that's just how it goes. It's not like I never had at that point sat down and had those type of conversations. Like okay, I don't want to be with you anymore. I didn't know how to do that, and so. I then I see actually PJ, I can see the comments, so that's why I'm gonna answer that question. Y'all would say is he broke or a bowler? I would say to me at the time, like I'll say I'm not ever a person looking for that. I'm always could pay for my own stuff. I have jobs and I'm an only child. My mother always has me. Like if I need something, my mother always has me. So I'm not necessarily always looking for that. But what he did do at the time, like at the time I justified it. For them 3 years I never paid for no tree. Like it was to the point that after we broke up, like I had to actively find somebody else because I never paid for tree for them 3 years. He kept gassing my car because he was the one driving it. He always brought me food. Like if I wanted Fridays, he would get me Fridays. So I guess like I don't know what you guys would consider. He wasn't like over here giving me stacks of money to go, no. But I mean, he did, I guess, some things. But he didn't have his own crib. He didn't have no real bills. So I mean, I guess if you don't have no real bills, I mean, his only bill I remember being that I know of was a $50 phone bill. So I mean, if that's all you got to pay for. And then he did have a daughter. So like I said, I don't know. But at the time, like I wasn't looking for that. I didn't care. Like I said, I wasn't looking to build a life for him. Probably, like I said, these are things I should have been looking at, but I just didn't care. So by that last year, I was already like wanting to break up with him, but I just couldn't fit. I don't know. I didn't get the guts. Like I was being like, a p word. Like I was just not was not doing it. But I would just go. I wasn't. Actually, no, I was gonna lie. So there was periods where I was cheating, but I wasn't like always like actively seeking out. Like I wasn't at the clubs every week and all that. Like, but I did have a couple times where I did cheat on him. But after a while, I was just like, obviously I shouldn't be with this person if that's what I'm doing. And so, um, by that summer, basically what happened was this was in 2020 when COVID happened. And that's when all this started happening. So I was working the job, and the job after COVID, when everything shut down, I had to start working from home. Now I'm a person, I don't really like to be in my house. Now I work from home, but at the time it was like I was living with my mother. I didn't want to be up anywhere. So I would bring my computer and we'd be in the car. Like we would just always, that was his thing. We would always be sitting in the car, smoking tree. We would always be in the car. If we wasn't out chilling like outside the building, we'd be in the car. Like that was what we would do. Whatever. And so after a while, like even that got old to me. I was like, damn, like we can't do nothing else. Like you just want to sit in the car all the time. Like, it just got old to me. And so that I would get annoyed about that. And so over that summer, I was already hanging out with my friends, doing my own thing, but over that summer I really was hanging out. And so the first thing that happened was I had another coworker, who how people in the hood is. Apparently, she had a birthday that year, and when I go to her birthday, it was a dude there from the hood that when we're back there chilling in the hood at the building, he would be there. His name was Dub. Dub. He ended up being at her birthday. Come to find out, him and my coworker was cousins. So he says, whatever. So me and Dub, we sitting there talking, and the conversation goes to my ex again. And this is where I start to say that, I think God was just like punching me in my face with it at this point, because it's like the situations that was happening where it was coming up that I don't think that naturally comes up. And so I was sitting there and we talking, and I don't know how, but we get on his age. And all I know is Dub was like, and I knew Dub, I remember he was talking about it, like most of the dudes at the building, they was like 30s, in their 30s, like young 30s, and you could tell. And also I should say George was short. So for me, it was like he was short. I didn't think he looked old. I didn't think he looked that young either, but I would say I'm not a good guesser in age, especially with black people. Like, black people, you could be any age. So it's like, I'm not a good guesser. Like, so, but he was short. Like I'm 5'5", he was probably like 5'7". So he was short. So to me, like at the time, I kind of thought, I thought that he was. So when me and Double so he's like, look, I don't know how old he told you he was, but I know I'm 35 and he ain't the same age as me. And I'm like, and he's like, he's not younger than me either. And I'm like, huh, really? And I was like, but I was like, really? So that happened. So then 2 days later, now this was when I was in one of my moments, there was a guy like in the back of the building, like we basically started making eyes, and I was about to be a creep, and I was about to chill with this guy, and I didn't know what was gonna happen. Basically, I was texting this guy, and we were about to go chill and hang out. Who knows what was gonna happen? But yeah. And so imagine you go to chill with a girl, and she has a boyfriend, but you would think that that's not something that you would talk about. I guess his house, we're smoking, whatever. And one of the first things he says, after he asked me, like, oh, how you doing, whatever, he goes, so how old is that old boy? Like, how old is he? Because everybody knows him, but, like, I don't know. It's like maybe they don't know. Like, he would dap him up. They would say what's up. But when I get there, he's like, so how old is old boy? And I'm at this point, because it kept coming up, I was just like, well, I don't know. Because I'm like, I'm still thinking back to the shit that happened 2 days ago, where you sitting there telling me, well, he ain't younger than me, and now you're bringing this up. And to me, that was like such an out-of-body experience, because here's somebody who you would think, like, why would he be bringing up basically the girl's boyfriend? You're trying to do whatever with me. You try to either, F, you try to do whatever. Why, to me, I'm like, why would he be bringing that up? Like, I'm trying to think about when I'm like him, like, you sitting here, trying to get with somebody's girl, the last thing I would think you'd be bringing up is, the guy. So he says, I'm like, well, shoot, I don't know. And he basically was like, how him, because when you was this building, like, if anybody be in the hood and you be chilling, like, especially in the summer when we chilling, like, there would be people like by the door, chilling, a group of us, but then there also be people at their cars chilling, like, people be all over the parking lot. And so him, the guy that I was like basically about to cheat with, he would be one, like, he would have this truck. I forgot what kind of truck it was, but him and his peoples would like sit by his truck, and everybody would know who it was when he pulled in with his truck. And so, like, he wouldn't be chilling with, where me and my ex and like all of us would be. And so he was like, yeah, me and my niggas, we be sitting there and we all be looking at everybody. Basically, everybody sitting there talking about trying to figure out how he got you. And I'm like, huh? And I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean everybody's sitting there trying to figure out how he got me? He's like, yeah, like, because basically they're like, how's this old nigga with this young ass girl and she look good? And I'm like, what? And so I'm like, this is crazy. And at the time, like I said, the only reason he was like one of the first guys from that area that I met. The only other person that I met was my coworker, and then she introduced me to him. I didn't start meeting anybody else, any of the other people, until I'm chilling with him. And so I'm like, so then we sitting there, so that happens, and we talking about it, and I'm like, this is crazy. So basically, nothing happened with me and him, because at that point, I feel like he kind of messed it up for himself, because now at this point, like, all I could do is think about that. All I could do is think about that conversation. So I'm like, for you to say that, I'm like, I can't. PJ, they say you thought, yeah, the guy that PJ has up that is not him. I'm like, I don't know where PJ found that picture. That is not him.
I just
But
found a random TikTok with an old man. You know what I'm saying?
everybody keeps talking about it in the comments. Is that the picture? Is that the picture?
This is how he
But
used to show up on the block looking ass. They like, how did this nigga
but almost.
get?
So basically, so after that happened, like, nothing happened with me and that guy, because it was like, I can't even pay attention, like, to eat. My focus isn't even on you at this point. Like, I'm trying to figure out how old this nigga. At that point, that's when it really hit me in the face, and I'm like, all right, now I need to, like, really, I had to, like, start. I was like, I got to do some figuring out myself, because this done came up two different random, ass times that it doesn't, understand. These are random ass times that I'm like, yeah, no, I got to do some digging. So, oh no, and I'm sorry, I missed the part. Before these two situations, like a month before that, it was a lady at my job, and I should say this: a lot of people at my job lived in his area, because that's just how it was. Like, a lot of the black people from my area lived in it, and where he lived at. So some of them knew him. So we were talking about how old our like significant others were, and I was saying that to me, I'm like, yeah, like, this for me, he was the oldest guy that I had dated at that point. That's at that point, because now, the guys that I kind of date they be definitely older than me. But before, I used to date people that, when I was in high school stuff, I was dating people that was my age, maybe a year older than me, but not really. So I was saying that at that point, like, he was the oldest that I had dated. So the lady, she goes to me, she was like, because she knew my ex, and she was like, what are you talking about, George? And I was like, yeah. She was like, how old do you think he is? I was like, he's like 5 years older than me. I think at this point I was 26, 20, no, I was 27. I was like, he's like 5 years older than me. So what, like 32, 33? She was like, no. She looked at me, she was like, George went to high school with me. He ain't no damn 32. And I'm like, and now this is a lady that I know she was in her 30s, because I know that she was, I'll just call her Miss Greta. Miss Greta, I know she was over 40, because at least she might have been 40 at that time, or like just, a little bit over 40, because she always used to talk about how she had a daughter. She had a young daughter. Her daughter was like 4 or 5 years old, and she always used to talk about how she had a daughter when she was older. So I knew that she wasn't nowhere near my age. Not to say that she looked old or nothing. I just knew that for a fact she was in her 30s. And when she said that, she was like, no. She was like, he went to high school with me. He was in my class. Like, so I was like, so I asked him about that. And he was like, no, she's not talking about me. No, and he went to the town high school. So it was a big high school. She's like, no, she was in class with one of my sisters, so she probably used to see me, like, in the parking lot, see me in the school, but I wasn't in her class. She's not talking about me. So now at this point, that's when I kind of was like, this lady ain't got nothing to lie about. Like, that's when, so then now, fast forward, when those two situations happen, I was like, oh no, no, no. I was like, yeah, we gotta I gotta do some investigation. So I didn't really know what I didn't want to ask him because this obviously you know somebody's gonna lie. Like who's gonna really like? Oh yeah, you got like nobody's gonna admit to that. So I was like, no, I need some like I need something else. So one day I had took his phone, and I was never a person like, especially back then, I didn't go through niggas' phones. I didn't go through phones with the person that I was with. And if I did, I think his, I might have went through it a couple of times, and I only did it as revenge because he would go through my phone. So I'd be like, oh, you go through my phone, I'm gonna go through yours, and but I really wouldn't even care. Like even if it was stuff that I found, like I wouldn't even care. So of that time, I took his phone, wasn't looking for nothing, literally didn't even go in his messages, nothing like that. I went to his Apple ID because I knew, you know, he had an Apple ID. It was an iPhone. So I went to the Apple ID and I went to see what birthday he put. And the Apple ID said his birthday and the year said 1988. Now, I'm born in 93. The year said 1988. So I was like, all right, that's 5 years. Hmm. I was like, but that didn't satisfy what I wanted. So I started looking, and I'm looking through all the apps. I'm like thinking about what apps you know would need a birthday or whatever. And somebody said, look at the driver's license. He did not have a driver's license. I probably should have said that from the beginning. He did not have a license. Uh, he didn't have a license. I don't. I forgot what it was like when I first got with him. Like he said, he didn't have a license. He had a driving job. He said he used to drive trucks. Like he used to have a CDL.
He
He
didn't
never
have
really told me
nothing.
what.
He didn't have no driving
Yeah, he didn't have
license, no
nothing.
job, nothing to do
No,
all
nothing.
day.
Apparently he came from Maryland, which is where I live now. Apparently he like was living in Maryland, like moved back right around the same time that I moved back. And I don't know what happened. Something happened with the CDL, and apparently, and now he don't got a CDL or a license. Didn't have nothing. I never saw a license. Never ever saw that. And I'm telling y'all because I think I was like I just so like I didn't care. And really at the time when I met him, I had so much like personal stuff going on. I got kicked out of college. My grandmother had also passed away. I had a lot of like personal stuff going on that like I think even when I got with him, like even though I was in the relationship, I still was so checked out. Like the things that I would like be like looking at and looking and caring about, I just didn't care. And because I knew I wasn't like looking for a future with this person, I wasn't planning on a future. Like I don't know, I think I just didn't care. But yeah, so he had no license, so that was why I had to be looking for these other extenuating, you know, things. So I'm looking through his phone and I'm trying to think what app I'm gonna look for. I'm gonna looking. And I think I went on his internet because I don't think he had the Gmail app. He wasn't that sophisticated, but I don't know how. But I ended up on his Gmail, and I went and I go and you know on Gmail you put your birthday. You don't have to, but he did. And I went and the shit said his birthday, but it said 1978. And I said, and I'm sitting there, and I think and granted, I think I forget where I was. We might have been in the car, might have been in my house. I don't know. Either way, he was asleep, so I wasn't worried about him waking up. I was just sitting there, my mouth open. I was like. But then even that still like was a lot for me because I'm like, but it's still two different birthdays. So I'm like, who does that in their phone? Like I get like fake names, and then if you do, even if people do a fake birth, because I know some people, and I've done it myself. If you make a fake Apple ID, like you're gonna make a completely different birthday. Who's gonna have their birthday and it be like, you know, the 5 years? Like it was just weird to me. So even from that, it was like I kind of came to the conclusion that he's lying to me. Maybe I won't ever know what the real birthday is, but I just came to the conclusion, like, you know, he's lying to me. And so at this point, like I said, I had already, from the whole year prior, I'd already wanted to break up with him. And so this kind of just was like the cherry on top. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to be with him. Because then I started to sit and think, and I didn't do it immediately, but I did end up breaking up with him in 2020. In 2020, we did break up, but it was like at the end of the year. But I didn't do it immediately because even then I still was like, I don't know why I was being such like a, I don't want to say the P word, but I was just being such a punk about it. Like, I didn't know even then how to say it. I didn't even know how to bring to him, like, yeah, so I know you lied to me. Like, I didn't know what to say. But I would just sit and think about it. And my whole vibe with him changed. And maybe he realized it, maybe he didn't. I don't know. He's an Aquarius, and sometimes they be so aloof and so dumb. Like, it was like, I don't know if he even realized, like, that I'm not feeling you, even more than I wasn't feeling you. By this point, like, I wasn't even really trying to have sex with him. I probably would have sex with him, like, once a month. Like, I wasn't trying to do nothing with him. And so, you know, we was going along, and my whole vibe had just changed. And I would sit there and think, like, at this point, it would make me look at you different, because it's like, now at this point, I'm 27, so that means if he's 15 years older than me, that means he would have been 42. That made him look at me so weird, look at him different, because I'm like, you know, this means you have nothing at all. You know, you have no car of your own. You don't have a crib because he would just live with his sisters. He started out when I met him living at that building that I was talking about with one of his sisters. Him and her got to an argument. He ended up moving in with his other sister who lived in the house. So you don't have your own crib. You don't got your own car. You not like you was never talking about any type of job or anything. And it was just like it made me really. I'm like, what am I being with you for? Like, nah, I really can't be with you. That stuff was already getting on my nerves, and I was like looking down on it before when I thought you was only 5 years older than me, but you're in your 40s and this is how you living? Yeah, no, no, no. I can't. So so at that point, so I was just basically, I would still be around him, not gonna lie, like we would still be chilling. And then I ended up going to jail because me and his baby mother got into a fight. It was just also some dumbness, not because of no, I thought they were sleeping together, nothing like that. It actually had something to do with his daughter. So I ended up going to jail for a night.
Did
So
she
that
ever
kind
say,
of,
"Why you fucking this old nigga"?
who?
The baby mama.
Not at all. No, she never even said that. I guess maybe she must have assumed that I knew. But also the baby mother, like she ended up not liking me. The baby mother was kind of like an alcoholic, so she was just one of those. It's my baby father. Like she was just more focused on making his life a living hell. Like, and then sometimes, and as a result of that, I guess I was just guilty by association. So she ain't really like me. So she wasn't. I don't even think she was in her right mind to be like try to put me on in that type of way. And if she was, maybe she must have assumed that I already knew. I have no idea with her. She's weird. So I don't
Did,
know.
did you
A
win the
normal
fight?
woman, I'm sure, probably would have said something, but yeah, I don't think she wasn't worried about that.
Did you win the fight?
So I mean, well, she went to the hospital and she ended up suing me because of it. She sued me, the building, and her ex because of that. I'm
Damn.
like, but the thing is, I'm like, girl, you get into fights all the time. What you suing me for? My friend, that the one that I told you that we went to her birthday party. She knows her too. They fought in the hallway. I'm like, you fight people all the time. What are you suing me for? But whatever. So, so things had happened that kind of prolonged, I guess, me breaking up with him. And so after that, I think it was like come November, like I just couldn't take it anymore. I know there was like one time there was like he bought the last thing I remember he got me a pair of sneakers, and that was part of his little like one of his little hustles. He would go to the Nike store, get sneakers. He wasn't boosting them, he wasn't doing anything. He would like buy them and then try to sell them to people in the hood for extra money. And I was like, why would you sit there and try to sell stuff to people in the hood for more money? No, they try to look for a deal. I'm like, nobody wants you to sit there and to be buying sneakers from you for the same price they could get it for in the store or more expensive. So that was his thing. He would always get sneakers, and sometimes he would give them to me for free. Sometimes he would just like I would get them for like $100 or whatever. But this time he tried to get me some Jordans. They didn't come out yet, and he was trying to give them to me. And at this point, like I really did not want to be with him, and I was like counting the days. Like I'm not even lying. I'll be in the car like practicing like how I'm gonna say it, what I'm gonna say. I'll be just waiting. So when he tried to give me these sneakers, I was like, yeah, no, I don't want those. And I think kind of at that point he kind of knew something was up because I had never ever ever turned down sneakers from him. Like you know, usually I love sneakers, y'all. If anybody knew, like I have like 30 pairs of sneakers in there. So when I turned down those sneakers, I think he kind of like was like, that was weird. So it was a couple weeks after that. And basically, I don't remember like what made me, but finally, I didn't let him come home with me. I stopped allowing, like, at that point, I didn't want him to be coming, sleeping at my mother's house. I didn't even want to be next to him. I wanted to sleep in my bed by myself, like, so at one point, we was in front, I think we was in front of his house, in front of his sister's house, and I basically just said, like, yeah, so I know, it wasn't even a question. I wasn't going to ask him. I was just like, basically, so I know you lied about your age. I was like, I figured it out. There were a series of things. I didn't tell him about all these different situations. I didn't feel the need to explain all of that. I just basically said, I know that you are lying about your age. I was like, I'm not really sure why you would have lied about that. I'm like, I know that, you're 15 years older than me, and I was like, I can't be with somebody that A, has lied to me about something like that, but B, I just can't. At that point, I didn't want to be with somebody that was in their 40s. I'm 27. I just didn't want to do that. And so And he was like, he just sat there, and I'll be honest, I don't really remember because I told the story to other people. I don't really remember. He didn't like have an explanation. Like he kind of was just, he didn't like. I don't remember him saying, "Oh, I did it because I didn't think you would like me," or "I did." I don't remember him saying that. He basically was just like, "Oh, I apologize," and he didn't really have no real reason. He apologized, but he didn't have no real reason, and so we kind of just left it at that. And well, we didn't leave it at that because even after that, he was still trying to get back with me. He still wanted to be with me, but no time ever did he ever offer an explanation. Usually when y'all break up because of something, the person, if they're gonna try to get back with you, they would at least try to offer some type of explanation for whatever went wrong. Like he would try to get back with me, but he was never trying to offer explanation as to why he would lie about something like that. And even after that, so then after I'm telling my friends and I'm telling people, I'd be like, "Oh well, I thought he looked old," and blah blah. And I'm like, but none of y'all ever said that. Nobody ever said. Nobody had ever. When I had like started introducing to my people, nobody said, "Oh well, girl, how old is he?" Like if your friend or somebody brings home somebody that's old and you think they look old, you're gonna say to your people like, "Well, girl, you know how old he is? Like, why do you look old?" Nobody ever said that to me. So I'm like, why y'all saying now that I'm telling y'all this, now y'all wanna now everybody's like, oh, co-signing it. I'm like, y'all some fake people because didn't none of y'all say that. So
I
and
mean,
that's
but
just pretty much.
five other people told you he was old.
You're right. No, you are right. And that's why I said, like, I'm telling you, like, I was going through a lot. I feel like because I was going through so much and because I was, like, not, in the relationship, I just, like, kind of overlooked or didn't care about a lot of stuff. But later, I just felt, I didn't ever feel like when I told the person I'm with now, when I tell him about it, he's like, he took advantage and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't even be really looking at it like that because I really just feel like I wasted 3 years of my life. Like I could have just been single for them 3 years. That's what I really feel like.
Did you think
I
those
don't feel
people
like
was
I was
hating on
taking.
you? Like, did you in
Who?
your mind you was like, oh y'all hating, y'all just want to make him be old? Like the people who told you that he was old, and you was like,
Um, I could see that maybe for one of them, but the one that I told you with the truck, I didn't think he would because that nigga was a 304 and a male 304. So I don't think he was trying to throw dirt on him or whatever. And sure, he could have been we regardless of him. I was trying to talk to him anyway. So my as terrible as that sounds, the boyfriend I was with wasn't stopping nothing for him. So he ain't have to hate on him to try to get me because at the time I was kind of I was still gonna talk to him.
you
So
was ready to
you
cheat.
know. Low key, and it sounds terrible. I mean, I wasn't right. I didn't think any. It's like one of those situations where I went there, but I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm about to f this man tonight. But it was kind of like whatever happens happens. I know I'm going to somebody's house. We're adults. We know what happens when you go to somebody's crib. So that's kind of where it was. But I definitely wasn't expecting for the first thing you to want to be talking about is how old my current boyfriend, his age. Like I don't expect that. So I didn't feel violated or anything like that. It was just one of those. I'm a person that normally, me and my exes, like, I do try to. I've never spun the block. Like, I've never broken up with somebody, then we get back together a year or whatever later. It's just, we may talk later on. I might even ask you afterwards. But this is one ex, like, that wasn't the case. Like, there was no spinning the block with that. Like, I was trying to be cool just for, like, I don't know why, but that's just I don't know. That'd be the type of person I am. Like sometimes I still try to be cool with my ex. I did try to do that, but that didn't work out. And so yeah, I'm
Did
just
was
like,
it,
but that was
did y'all have sex in the car also, or did y'all go into the house?
yeah, that was the whole first year of our relationship because it's like I lived with my mom. He ain't have no fucking crib, so yeah, we had a lot of car sex. A lot of car sex, unfortunately.
On the
Then you gotta go back
in
to
the
the
middle of
point.
Fifth
I don't
Avenue
even.
in Brooklyn. Look at
I
that.
never would have like I would say I never want to have car sex, but like after him, like I didn't want to be in no car. Like you could have, usually that's like that's a little freaky thing. Like yeah, let's have sex in the car. I don't want to have sex in the car. Like he made me hate it for a little bit of time because we did it so much. I was like, no,
Mm.
I hate it.
And y'all windows can't be tinted in New York, huh?
I said I be there not supposed to, but they don't pull you over for that. Cause at the time when I was with him, I had a Kia, and my Kia came tinted. Obviously, like the front was like less tinted than the back, but my back windows, you could be back there, and nobody would see you. So No, they was telling they wouldn't pull you over for that.
So for
So,
3 years, you dated this guy, had no clue what his age was. Did he?
yeah.
Okay. Did he ever say Grand Rising to you?
No, no, no. He wasn't. He was like Jamaican. He was Jamaican. He
Cause
was just like I don't
that's a
know.
dead giveaway.
He was. He wasn't that. He wasn't a grand riser like how we was looking at on the live yesterday. Mm-mm. He
Grand
wasn't one of
Rising.
those. He wasn't one of
Uh,
those. He was just a guy that thought he and I. You know what? But I should have realized because all of the issues. Think about all the issues that you hear a young girl say about an older guy that he's like controlling. He's always trying to tell her what to do. Like I started to have those issues. Like he was trying to more than men already try to do typically. But if I felt like he was always trying to tell me what to do, I felt like he always thought he was right. But I just thought that was his personality. But now I'm realizing no, it's because this nigga was an older nigga. And usually a 27-year-old or a 47-year-old, he's gonna act like that. He's gonna act like you don't know what you're talking about. He's gonna act like he knows it all. No, meanwhile you don't know nothing. You don't even got a job, so you don't know anything. Like, so
mm.
he was just, I don't know, it was a lot, and I don't know, I just felt like I wasted my time, like I said, like, I wasn't even really that into it for me to, like, stay in it. I will say, like, there was a period where we was getting along, and I guess I could say, I was like, yeah, I like being around him, and yeah, we chilling or whatever, but then I guess that kind of went away, I was like, yeah, but you still have no job. You
So
still ain't doing
him
nothing. I'm doing stuff.
him getting the SSI check that didn't ring a bell. This old nigga with
He
no
ain't getting no
job.
SSI checks, true.
How was he getting money?
Through the streets, just through the streets. That's it. He would sell the little sneakers, and then he would sell his little products on the streets. He's a street pharmacist.
Oh,
That's what he
okay.
would do.
So for
But
three,
because he didn't have no real bills, you're thinking from your standpoint, he didn't. It wasn't helping his. As far as I know, even though that would be the right thing to do, he wasn't putting no money on the table for his sisters to help with their rent or help with the light bill. As far as I know, he wasn't doing that. He might bring some food into the house if they asked. Yeah, he would give it to them, but he wasn't contributing like on a consistent monthly basis to people's households.
he was
He would
going
help
out with
with
you to make an excuse to his
mm,
family at home that he was, you know,
with me.
out doing some work. I gotta go to work.
Mm-hmm.
You was going to clock in. He was going to watch you clock in.
He wasn't doing anything, and so after a while, it just became
Damn.
annoying. It was just annoying. Like after a while, like it's like I'm not even wanting nothing from you. It's just like you're just not doing anything. Like I had got my associates. I'm like I remember one time I broke my MacBook, and no, I didn't break it. I lost it, and that's what happened. And I was like, I need another one. And I worked DoorDash, and this is when DoorDash was like, all right. And after like a month and a half, 2 months, I had made enough money, and I got my computer back. It's just like that's always the type of person I've been. So I would go and take my car from him, like, yeah, I'm going to do DoorDash, because normally he would think, like, oh, she getting off work, all right, we're going to be chilling for that. No, after a while, that got old for me to get off work, and now you just want to sit in the car for 4 to 5 hours until we go back to my mother's house. Like, yeah, it was cool for a little bit, but I'm a person, like, after a while, me doing the same thing gets old. Like, that's why I went to school, because it's like, all right, I'm going to school every other day. Like, I'm going to do something. I would do DoorDash. It's like, you was okay just literally doing the same thing all the time. And
Was
then
he
to
riding
know, like,
DoorDash with you?
no. But also didn't want to be around him. Like he might have did it once or twice, but there would be a couple times. He'd be like, oh, you want me to ride with you? I would be like, no, I don't need you to ride with me. I'm good. Because I just did. After a while, I was just like so annoyed, like by him. Like he would just be annoyed. He would root like even just little things he did. And I guess because maybe it was just because he was older. Like we just stuck. We didn't have things in common. And that's not to say I can't find things in common. Like the person I'm with now, he's 8, 9 years older than me. We have things in common. Like. But me and him, it's like I would sit and watch my YouTube videos. He would be ruining the videos for me. Like I'm watching it for fun. He'd be like, "Oh, you really?" He's like, he was a conspiracy theorist. Like that's one person. Like he's any conspiracy theory, he believes it. And I'm just sitting here watching the video just because it's a YouTube video and I just want something for entertainment. He'd be like, "You believe everything they saying in that video? You think that what they're saying is true? Do you believe that?" And I'm like, bro, it's a freaking YouTube video. Like it's not that serious. Like and he would wanna argue about YouTube video. He just wanna argue about anything. And I'm like, now I realize that's kind of like just. I feel like that's kind of how older guys are. Like they want to argue. Now I know that, but at the time I'm just like, why? Why do you want to argue about all this stuff? Where like I'm just watching a video. Like can I just watch it for fun? So I didn't want him around me. I didn't want him to be riding with me to do DoorDash. Like I just found him annoying after a while.
So
I just found him.
when when he turned on the Sugar Hill Gang and DJ Quick. That wasn't a sign that this nigga was old. Or no, KRS-One. Cause y'all.
I'm like, I feel like I should, but we didn't talk about that. That's why I'm like, I don't know. I was also a different person then, but I don't know. It was like I would just be. A lot of it was we would, because I realized early on I couldn't talk to him because it's like I would talk to him and like I don't know, wouldn't connect, and I didn't pick up on that, and then maybe I should have. Like, girl, when you're talking, it's not like he wouldn't. Like when me and my boyfriend talk now, like the conversation flows all the time. We talk about any and everything because we have the same interests. We talk about music. We talk about whatever. Like that didn't happen with my ex, and that's how it was with the ex before him, the one in Colorado. Like we would talk about music. We would talk about him. We just it never got like that. And at the time, I just didn't pick up on it.
So
Yeah, Joker. I say he's an Aquarius.
he had he had good he had the treat because he was a street guy, street person, and so
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it
true.
was pretty much y'all sitting there chilling, smoking every day, all
Mm-hmm.
day. You working.
Mm-hmm.
He, so it
Basically,
was
it got to the point
convenient, but it was just like,
convenient.
man,
And he would just drive me around. Like when he had my car, like I wasn't bothered by it. You know how most times girls like, yeah, he drive my car. I wasn't bothered by it because A, he wasn't going nowhere. He didn't go nowhere. And B, it was like I knew where he was at. I knew he's 5 minutes up from my job. Like I know where he wasn't doing anything. So it was like I didn't mind. And my thing is, if you're gonna be using my car at least to make money, like do something. Like I didn't. I'd rather like you're using my car to at least make money and do something with yourself than you not doing something with yourself. That's how I felt about it at the time. And he always put gas in my car. That's one thing. I mean, shit, you might as well. But I never. I'm telling you, for them 3 years, I did not pay for no gas. And he would always drive me around. Like if I needed to go somewhere, if I wanted to go hang out with my friends, if I wanted to drop me off here, oh, I'm going to get drunk with this person. Like he would take me wherever I wanted to go. And it was so bad, and I didn't know this. There was people at my job that thought I didn't know how to drive. That's how much he was driving. Like that's how which is crazy because there was a whole year that I was working at that job where I was driving myself. But I don't know. But there was some people there that they were like, oh, I didn't know you could drive. I didn't know you had a license. I'm like, this is my car, but they didn't realize that because he was always driving me around. So it was definitely a lot of like convenience because it's like I wasn't paying for no tree, and kind of at the time I'm a young 20 something year old. That was kind of like not all I cared about, but shoot, free tree. I'm like whatever. Like I don't
yeah.
gotta pay for tree. It was convenient. Definitely a lot of convenience, and me just being lazy. And it's like I knew I wasn't like I don't know. There was nobody that I was like pressing, like trying to go date somebody else. Like I don't know. I was like also like I think I also used that time to like get myself together, get my life together. So I'm like, hey, I'm in a relationship. I ain't over here chasing, worried about chasing different men. So I just kind of used it for that. But I'm like, part of me is like, damn, I kind of wasted 3 years of my time with somebody. But also, I wasn't trying to go be doing a bunch of stuff with different people because at the time I'm like, yo, I don't need to be in no relationships. I'm like, I just got out of a toxic relationship. I got kicked out of school. Like, I need to get myself together. So, I don't know. That's kind of how, I don't know. That's how I felt about it.
So
But,
when he turned on Lenny Williams and Keith Sweat while y'all was having sex, that wasn't a sign that this nigga was
nope.
old.
Nope. Mm-mm.
uh,
I feel like I was in a daze. I'm like, because when people were there, like, you didn't see nothing. I'm like, nah, it must have been just like in a daze. I wasn't like,
like
now, just
did he dress young like a young guy?
yeah, like so he was a person. He would always be always Nike or Adidas. That's it. That's all he wore was Nike or Adidas. He would wear Jordans. Like he wouldn't wear like the same Jordans that I'm wearing, but like he was always trying to have on like a fresh pair of sneakers. And I remember when we was first hanging out, like I remember we all had went to a barbecue. Like he had on I think like a Burberry polo and some jeans. Like he dressed like somebody that's that I would see that's 30-something-year-old dressing. Like I don't know how
Yeah.
40-something-year-old is supposed to dress, but he didn't dress like it wasn't giving old. It wasn't giving old now, but now today somebody couldn't like he couldn't have gotten that past me like if he
Yeah.
tried that after. But I think because at the time I feel like I think my grandmother passed it. Like I got kicked out of the way it happened was I got kicked out of school. That toxic relationship happened, like and some really traumatic shit happened, and then my grandmother passed away. So I think like so many things happened that I really like I was like kind of in a depression and I almost was in like a daze. I think so. I think that's why I was like like I allowed anything to happen because like me normally like him just being annoying wouldn't have even lasted that long. Like I can't deal with somebody that's annoying. So I'm surprised I even like allowed that because I usually don't. I can't be bothered with somebody who get on my nerves. Like so, I don't
So
know.
was it the so it was pretty much the trees and the convenience and like the fact that your
Yeah.
friend kind of said it, he got a little money that made it be like, and it was street money too, so it was like it was there and not there, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
So I was kind of like, well, whatever. And at first it was cool. Now later on, it became not the same as in the beginning. And I also didn't like his business practices. So I didn't even understand why he was still a street pharmacist. Because I'm like, you're not even doing shit right. Like, and at that time, I had never even like really like I didn't know nothing about nothing, but I knew I'm like the way you're doing it, you can't be making no money. Like that's how I felt. So I also felt like towards the end, like nothing he did made sense, like at all. And so then to know that you're 40 something years old doing stuff like this, like it just completely turned me off. Like maybe if I no, never mind. I was gonna say maybe if he had like if he was up to par, and then I found out he lied, but I'm like no, I probably still wouldn't have been with him just because you lied about your age, and there's no need to do that to me.
Yeah.
Like there was not. I don't think that. I don't know if I would have been. Now, granted, I don't know if I would have wanted to be with him knowing that he was 50 years older than me. But there's no need for that.
Hmm.
No need to lie.
Yeah, so ain't. At any day and age, it's not. There's no reason to lie. I think people. I've seen. We've done another video where uh, the girl she called up man the Lion King, where he lied about everything, his age, where he was from, why he was living there, just
Mm.
everything. And this man wooed her. I mean, he when she got out the shower, he had towels on the towel warmer and had he set the mood for her when she was taking a shower. Like it was just he did everything for her, but he was just lying like a mug. And I don't understand the lies, the continuous lies into a relationship. It just like if you can't be.
And now I don't even know if everything he like. I don't know. I still don't know why if he was ever actually in Maryland. Like he used to always talk about him and his friends. He'd be like, "Yeah, remember back in the day before I moved to I don't know if he was in Baltimore or where in Maryland he was, but he'd be like, remember before I was in Maryland, I used to be riding around in the hood with Porsches, and I'd be going out of town every weekend and blah blah." They were like, "Yeah, yeah, I remember," but he wasn't doing that currently, and he didn't have a car currently. So I didn't understand why he would always bring that up. And so then I'm like, I don't even know if any of that was true because I'm like, all of them was like, I'm like, all y'all are kind of like regular. None of y'all, they wasn't the people in the streets. And it's like now hindsight is 2020. Like, and again, and I think it's also because he was like one of the first people I met. Like, had I like chilled in the hood for a little bit, gotten to know some of the people, seen the landscape, I would have realized he wasn't no top player around there. He wasn't the one getting all the money. Like, I would have seen it for myself. But that's what happens when you get introduced to it. Because I'm not from Long Island. I live in I don't know if it'll make sense to any of y'all, but I live in the five boroughs. I don't live in Long Island, so I don't know.
Did
I'm just going to chill with my friends.
did you ever see your friend that's first the one who first introduced y'all? Like, did you ever see her after this?
We worked together throughout the whole our whole like pretty much the whole relationship. Me and I kept working together. We just did it. It was like for a while we didn't talk, like probably for like a year or so, and then we like kind of started talking again, like probably like a little bit before 2020. We started talking again because me and all like we have kind of formed a little coworker friend group, and we would go out for happy hours. So through that, like me and her started talking again, but it wasn't like how we was before, where I'm going and we sitting in the car chilling, and it wasn't like that.
So did y'all laugh
So
about the age difference? Like this nigga was lying about his
I don't
age.
think I ever told her because by the time, no, I was still working at that job, but when I found all of this out, the job we were still remote. So by that point, I
Oh,
wasn't talking. I didn't chill. I seen something. One of my coworkers, like, because I'm still one friends with one of them to this day. So her, I might have been chilling with, but for the most part, I didn't really see my coworkers. Like, we was all working from home. So when all of this was unfolding, and when I broke up with him, like, my job was still remote, and then
oh
I ended
yeah.
up quitting that job. And actually, I think she got fired before we went remote. Yeah, she did. She had gotten fired before we went remote. That's what happened too. She got fired from that job before COVID and all that stuff happened. She got fired, and then I ended up leaving at the end of 2020. So I would see her around, but we was never like close enough or like sitting down, enough for us to like for me to be telling her that like, oh girl, remember. So I ended up finding out that he lied. Like, I never had that conversation with her. I didn't feel the need to. Also, it was kind of embarrassing. I didn't really tell anybody until I told my friends. I don't think I did. I tell them right away. I don't know if I told my friends right away, but I might have. I might have told like a couple of my friends, but I was not my friends from the job. I didn't tell anybody like that would know him like that. Like I wasn't like spreading this information. I was like low key like it's a little embarrassing. I was dating a
Yeah.
40-year-old man. That's crazy.
It's not the worst story, but I mean, it's
No.
not like it's not to be embarrassed about, but it's kind of like the stuff that people was telling you, you know,
Mhm.
ahead of time. Like, girl, you dating a senior citizen, right? And you're like, no, he not.
Right. It's like I felt kind of crazy, and then I'm like you said, like how you can ask, like you didn't see all these things. That's how I felt. I'm like, how did I not see any of this? I'm like, yo, I was like, at first it was like like for a couple days and maybe like a week or so. I'm just sitting there like, how did I not see that? It's like what? I was like, this is crazy. I didn't tell my mom. I actually wasn't the one that told my mom. One of my ex, well, that I dated after him, which was a girl, and that's a different story for a different day. She told my mother being a weird, hateful person. She was the one that told my mother, like, yeah, she was dating a 40-year-old man, a 45-year-old man. And my mother was like, what? Because I never told, I wasn't going to tell her that. Because it was like, my mom, like, they wasn't like, I wouldn't say they were friends, but she was cool with him. She let him sleep in her house. Like, they would talk. Like, she wasn't, like, mean to him or anything. So I don't know. I just didn't want to, like, I don't know. I didn't want to hear what she was going to have to say. So I was never going to really plan on telling her. And then this girl told her.
Well,
I'm like,
it's still not bad because you're an adult. Like, I mean, but
right.
yeah. So if you would have been like 18 and he was 40, you'd be like, hey, yo. But 25 is still like, all right, I get it. But the fact that you didn't know, and so that's probably the most embarrassing part is just not knowing, and it's just like, yeah,
Yeah. I'm like, how did I not know about all that? I'm like, look, thankfully I wasn't. I'm like, at least I came out with it. I didn't have no damn babies by him, and I wasn't
yeah.
planning on getting married to him. So
I mean, and you never seen him take his teeth out and put it in a cup on the side of the bed too either. So it was just like
no,
it was
no.
just so many reasons you couldn't see. Like he was, you know.
And I think also, well, we didn't live. I mean, granted, we did sleep together, like probably every night, but we didn't live together. Like he lived with his sister. Like I was in his room. Like I would have been there, but I don't know. I think when you live with somebody, that changes things. Like I think when you live with somebody, then you get to see like a lot more. Whereas like we didn't live together. And we would like be outside so much. Like we didn't come back to my mother's house till literally it was time to sleep. Like that's the only time I would come back to my mother's house. I would come back to go to sleep, shower, and go get ready for work the next day, and I'd be outside for after I came out, got off work. So I don't think I think because I see his granted I seen his room, but I don't know. I think when you live with somebody, then you see more, you more alert. Like I'm like I don't live with you, so whatever you got going on don't really affect me. So I think that's why I wasn't really worried about whatever he had going on.
So when
And
you
I feel
went
like
to
I don't
his
know.
house and you seen his record collection, that didn't trigger you like this nigga old.
Yeah, no, he didn't even have no record collection. All he had was sneakers. That's the thing. Like some of the things he did is like kind of like a younger guy. He didn't have no record collection. Granted, he didn't have a big, a whole big space for himself. But
Yeah.
he just had a bunch of sneakers, like a young
Damn.
nigga would. He just had a bunch of sneakers. That's all he would have. And he would wear Nike. He would wear Nike pants or Adidas pants. Some type of Nike shirt. Like
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that's how he would dress. So he would be like, that's how some younger niggas dress. Like that's what he would wear.
So he must have had a full head of hair too.
He did. Yes,
Okay,
he would
yeah,
get his hair braided all the time.
yeah. Okay.
He gave
I
his
mean,
he would
he,
get his hair braided, and it was pretty decently long. Like he got not like down his back, but it was down his shoulders. Like he had a full head of hair. He would go get it braided, so it was like it wasn't balding. Now if it was balding, like yeah, definitely would know.
yeah, yeah, because I mean, I mean, I guess you could get away with it for so long, but I mean, a gray hair would have popped up or two, like at some point, and but if he had like just jet black hair, then I'd be like, yeah, you know,
Yeah, and he didn't really have like a whole bunch of grades, and also like I know like I don't know about y'all, but like my mother like she went gray early, young and stuff. So I don't always think somebody got a couple gray hairs that they're over 40. I know people could start getting grays in their 30s, so I didn't think about that.
yeah,
I didn't think I'm like a couple. It wasn't he didn't and he it wasn't like the whole front of his hair was gray. Like literally it would be like one or two strands. Like he wasn't going gray at all.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So he played. He definitely did this big one, but I mean. I mean, he had to look some type of young to for you to just not think that he was old. Cause like, I mean, black people, like you said, a lot of black people old. They not a lot, but black
Some
people.
of them, you know. So I don't know, but that was my story. I'm like,
Mm,
usually when I tell people that, they're like, how does it? You got to tell me about that one, because how did you get it? How did this go down?
mm-hmm. For 3 years, and especially like just
Right.
sitting in the car, like not doing nothing for 3 years. I could see how you could get tired of that, cause yo, I'd be like, what are we doing? Like, are we are we growing together? But you said you never saw him as somebody that you want to be with forever. It was just
True, but
God.
I thought eventually it would get there, but it's like you ain't even trying to elevate yourself, so how we gonna grow together? You ain't even trying to do nothing but yourself. So I thought I already knew that wasn't what was gonna happen because he wasn't doing nothing. He never filled out a job application. He never even talked about any type of job that he would want to have. You know, some guys in the streets at least they'll say like, you know. One day, I would go work at UPS if they would accept me or if they'll take my background. Like he would never talk about that, like at all.
Mm,
At
damn.
all.
Well,
I had no
thank
idea
you.
what his ambition.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for telling us your story, everyday people. This is the first call in story time. I told y'all we're gonna do this often. I would like to do it once a week. So if y'all know somebody with a crazy story like Breeze, where she was lied to, feel free to hit me up on Instagram or hit up Joker TV on Instagram. Well, her Instagram something else. Or any other mods, Melissa. If y'all put y'all Instagram in there, they can hit y'all up or they can hit me up because my Instagram be cracking and I don't see half my messages. But yeah, thank you so much, Miss Bree, and
Thanks, PJ. Thanks, PJ Live. I appreciate y'all.
we appreciate your story, man. Shout out to New York, boy. You gotta. Everybody's like this. New York people tell the best stories. So
Hey, I
aggressive.
got other ones. I got other ones. They're terrible. But
You got
thank you. Good
the
night, y'all.
girlfriend story. It was what other
Yeah, I
story you
got the
said?
girlfriend story. I got a lot of ones. but
Put
but
them on
y'all let me
TikTok
know
so
if
we
y'all want to
could
hear those ones. 'Cause
put them on TikTok so we can all follow you and go through it with you.
yeah, that's what I should do. All right,
Mm.
y'all. Good night.
All right, good night. All right, everyday people, man. That was our live, man. I told y'all we finna be doing this. We finna turn up a little bit, man. You know, it's all about interacting, man. The everyday people, man, bringing y'all into the stories and stuff like that. Cause I don't want to be selfish and yeah, with all these other stories. Let's get some real stuff in here, man. Cause sometimes you wonder about the stories if they real, if they fake. Like even the day when the story about the girl who was sleeping with her stepdad, that story was so sick. And I told y'all last night, I said I had a sick story. I didn't know how it was going to fare out. I was just like, it's just weird. But yeah, it was. I don't know how I felt about that. So like, but at the end of the day, man, it was a sick situation between everybody. And then y'all know the guy. I mean, I forgot to even say this. Like, the guy, he didn't even like explain himself. Like, or he didn't say I didn't do this or I didn't touch you. Like, he was just telling everybody how she was a dirty person and a hoe and all that. But as far as we know from the dog video, men hit anything looking ass. So it is what it is. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. I don't know what I'm gonna do for the rest of the night. I guess I'm gonna watch and see if some of my friends, Anti Hyena Squad, if she jump on live, or y'all watch and follow her channel, or her husband Jay Wolf, or You're Average at Best, or Review That with Des. Review That with Des be going live. So if y'all follow my friends on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Just look out for their live because I'm finna pop on somebody's live and just watch and enjoy just like y'all. I sometimes enjoy people's stuff too. So shout out to King KINGGGB, and that's her in the chat, and y'all can follow her on Instagram. And shout out to her and her new boyfriend because they or not new boyfriend. I guess they've been together forever. But you know, they live and thrive, and they laughing at her old relationships. Like, girl, you were dating that. Man, if that was okay, it's a girl I be dating, and she a nurse. Man, boy, when I be talking about her, I be like, you gonna wash them old men's balls? You gonna watch them up? I will talk. I'll be making jokes. I'll be making so many jokes. Like, you ain't about to get that old man today. You about to get this young boy looking at. I will be making jokes. I'm just saying. I do not be playing. I be making jokes. So, you know, just know you might catch a stray messing with me because I'm gonna be telling them jokes. So it is what it is. I love it. Well, we had a good time tonight. Again, shout out to Bree, aka at King B in the chat. Shout out to New York, man. And yeah, we're gonna keep it lit, man. Make sure y'all have a good and safe night and weekend if you plan on going out. Look, I had an early one, so y'all can still go out. But everybody who's over 35, we know y'all finna roll up in a bed, turn the TV on, and the TV gonna be watching you instead of you